Okay, so we're just going to have a look at the poem Captain Dobbin. Captain Dobbin is another character sort of poem, very similar to the Five Visions of Captain Cook, in that it's about a character, and it seems to me it's the using that character to put forward particular ideas and beliefs and values and explore them. And yet at the same time, it's also about the joy of the story of that character. Just like with Captain Cook, it was a lot about that, the Five Visions of Captain Cook. So you've got Captain Dobbin. So Dobbin signifying reliability, a plodding sort of a worker. A farm horse is Dobbin, the name of Dobbin. There's a kind of this nostalgia. I get this sense that it's about life and adventure and potential and youth, and this story it's quite a romantic story of this love of the sea and these images of the sea. And then it's just about life and memory and growing old and changing. So Captain Dobbin, having returned from the South Seas in the dumb tides of 1900, with a handful of shells, a few poisoned arrows, a cask of pearls, and £5,000 in the colonial funds, now sailed the street in a brick villa, Laburnum Villa, in whose blank windows the harbour hangs like a fog against the glass. So this sense of being, having had this life of adventure, and all it's left you with has been a few poisoned arrows and pearls. You can't take your past with you. You have to let it go. And, he's marooned on that side, in whose blank windows the harbour hangs. He's separated from that through this idea of time. And we know that he tended to use this idea of peering through windows and glass to kind of this powerlessness of being separated from, whether it's life or death or your memories. You've got this construction throughout of sea being this kind of free, exotic, exciting place, and this idea of land and the present being a more subdued, orderly, confining place, now sails the street in a brick villa, Laburnum Villa. And whereas you can compare that golden and smoky or stoned with a white glitter, so this is of the sea itself. So he's watching out through the window. He's also looking back on his life and reflecting. And he's, this idea of he's got this ledger, sticky with ink, entries of time and weather, state of the moon, nature of cargo, and captain's name. He's trying desperately to relive, get this tenuous connection back to his past, for some mysterious and awful purpose never divulged. I think that's like an example of sort of satirical humour of, what could have be happening with these entries, these ledgers. Probably nothing, but there's this sense that it has this heightened importance and mystery to him. So we've got this character who is flawed in that by his vulnerabilities. He's not an amazing sort of trailblazer. He's just Captain Dobbin, just a regular guy on the sea of life, really. So we've got there's images in the bottom first stanza of this. His passion, the light of his life. The light's like a great fiery snake of the coal maroon. Going to sea will note the hour for subsequent recording in his gazette. So he's looking out the window, he's recording these ships in the sea, but it's telling us about this great fiery kind of passion. But the sea is really closer to him than this. So it's saying, it's more than just like an amusing poem about someone's kind of life. It's about this kind of relationship in which he becomes humanized and heroic, and his relationship with the sea, his dreams and his reality is very sort of just a part of him. It's made very lovable, I suppose. He's got what you might call a lock of the sea's hair. So Captain Dobbin keeps his dwarfed memento, his urn burial, a chest of mummied waves. So all of these kind of memories, these precious kind of remnants of his past. So it continues on with this kind of exotic tales of his life. We've got a flask of seawater or a bottled ship, a schooner caught in a glass bottle. But Captain Dobbin keeps them in books, crags of varnished leather. So these kind of precious elements of his life. But, you know, he's just a simple hero. He's not anything kind of grand, even though he's got these exotic elements. And I think we can consider all of some of these little items as being like, they're not precious and amazing on their own, but to the person who has them, they are. And it's almost like that metaphor of memories. You know, you can have memories that's really difficult to convey to anybody, the preciousness of your own memories, and for people to truly understand what something meant to you, because it's always often just very random, arbitrary moments that can sometimes seem significant. So I think that's what's being conveyed in this. So it goes on, and there's lots of these objects and his reading glasses, and we get this sense of his vulnerability as well. Quietly the bone-rimmed lens would float, till through the glass he felt the barbed rush of bubbles foaming, spied the albacores. I get the sense it's like this idea of time running out, and through the glass. You know, we know what happens in some of his other poems where go through the glass and sort of onto the other side. The barbed rush, we could maybe interpret that he's talking about death. It goes on, there's kind of this a less than honest past where he is morally corrupt. Maybe he's been part of war. He's stolen things. The poem continues to explore this really colourful past and character of Captain Dobbin. Then Captain Dobbin's eye, that eye of wild and wispy scudding blue, voluptuously prying, would light up like mica scratched by gully suns, and he would be fearful to look upon, and shattering in his conversation, nor would he tolerate the harmless chanty, no Shenandoah or the dainty mew, that landsmen offer in a silver dish to Neptune, sung to pianos in candlelight of those he spoke in scorn. So, you know, he's kind of tired and old and sort of lackluster and exhausted, bored with the world, and then when there's this notion of his past or the sea, he kind of springs back to life, and we see him in this kind of powerful way. But he's kind of quite scathing of those who think they know about the sea and can offer their little songs to Neptune. So he rejects the sea life of landlubbers who may have been to sea. And he's very single-minded, for there was but one way of singing Storm Along, he said, and that was not really singing, but howling, rather shrieked in the wind's jaws. So I love this sense of drama, this sense of this kind of colonial past, is that same sort of historical, mysterious time of adventure that we see in the 5 Visions of Captain Cook, and pea jackets and brass buttons with folded arms and rich beards. He loves the sense of drama around history, and he loves to characterize that, I think. So we've got this colourful language, this narrative, this epic sort of story, and this very rich characterization of Captain Dobbin. And then we kind of have this moment of colour and life and pace within the poem, and then it moves on and changes entirely.